Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis update of commodities, work our way through dollar yields, precious metals, and commodities and ETFs that I follow. I'm going to interject my financial opinions across the board of what we're seeing with the charts, and let's begin. So here we go. DXY ripping higher. Stronger yields, stronger dollar, continuing to move its way up. We also had stronger crude oil. Yields and crude oil seem to be linked together. So looking at yields, yield did respond back today, up 0.8%. We're still above this breakout line. Everything's still holding at this time. TNX, the 10-year, it did dip down, but buyers came and bought it back up. So that does mean that we are seeing continued strength in yields and that we could continue higher. And TYX doing the same thing. So the buyers came in here and answered, and it does look like yields are going to continue on their way up. So I would expect DXY, the dollar, the relative strength DXY, to continue higher with yields. Now, TYX, TNX, this thing is right on, we're breaking out. We're right on this trend line here, guys. I'll leave those in there. We want to see if this continues higher, if the yield curve uninverts a little bit. We saw strength and positioning in certain areas, and I'll go over that as we go. So it makes me think that we'll see. It's broken to the upside. We'll see if this goes higher. We'll see if gold and silver reignite when this thing starts to move. But that's the sector that's really got me interested, is the gold and silver sectors. TLT, we're up against this support region. Can we go much further to the downside? Yes, we can. I understand that. But we're up against a very, very strong support here. There's a lot of people who have traded in this area, so it's up against support, and we'll see if we get that continued selling pressure in bonds. Remember, yields going up is bond prices going lower. So we're continuing to see a little bit of that. Gold's holding steady here. Now, usually when you get stronger yield, stronger dollar, gold falls. Gold is sideways today. I would consider that to be a massive win for gold. We're up above support. This thing is waiting for I don't know what. I guess buyers to show up, but it's looking good. We're just sitting on top of support. And silver, I mean, it tried to sell off. We had the conditions for it, but it got bought back up. It is bouncing off this support line that we've got drawn in there. And I'm hoping we can get a bounce here, because we're seeing strength in the mining companies. So I'm wondering if people are positioning in the mining companies versus the metals themselves. So generally what happens is the miners front run the physical metals. Then the physical metals run after it. So is this positioning today? I don't know. I'm very curious to see the next few weeks and how this all plays out. Platinum, it's holding together where it's at. It looks like it's trying to put in some bottom. Again, this could get, that very well could be a flag pattern that could head lower too. So let's watch yields. Let's get some data behind us to see where this thing wants to go. Now, the interesting thing is we've got gold and silver mining companies really rocketing higher today, outperforming gold itself. Is this positioning? It could be. And I'd like to see some follow through over the next few weeks to see that this thing actually breaks to the upside. We are playing with this downtrend line here. I call this need to break this line for happiness for gold and silver mining companies. We're basically right up against it, and we're squeezing up in this corner here. We could have another 3, 4, 5, 6 months. It's possible of going sideways, which I hope we have, because that'll get me a lot more time to accumulate a lot more shares in a lot more companies. But I'm really watching this gold and silver in these next few months. That's really what I'm looking for and seeing what's going to happen here. And I can throw a nice little trend line off the closing price, and that looks like it broke to the upside. But again, let's wait and see what happens here. Commodity index, is this wave 3? It sure looks like it to me. We get a gigantic move in commodities, a consolidation, and now we've broken out and have entered what I think is wave 3, which is a very big move to the upside. It'll be more obvious when you look at it from a ratio standpoint. I'm seeing a lot of companies down in these areas where we've had massive blowout crashes in companies. They've got these accumulation cylinders that are forming just like this over here. And I think we could be starting a big wave 3 where commodities outperform stocks. It's not going to be just commodities outperforming stocks. It'll be a combination of commodities going up, stocks probably going sideways or down, which will amplify this move in the third wave for the outperformance of commodities. GDX up today, surprisingly, and we're right up underneath resistance on GDX. There's that big line going across that we're up against. This is a flag pattern, and we need to break out of this thing. Now, we're just waiting for the right market conditions, in my opinion. That's what we're waiting for. GDXJ also up today. It doesn't look too bad. We're above the trend line here on a monthly trend line. But it's hanging out. It's doing all right. And SILJ really got a kick to the keister here. Nice big update today, 2.32%. We're up. We're back to a support level through here. If you kind of look through there, that's a nice support level. So it's holding at the moment. And we're waiting for precious metals to give us that big move to the upside, the physical metal itself, to jumpstart us to the upside, to basically put those paddles on our heart to jumpstart this thing. Crude oil. Oh, man. I'm liking the crude, guys. Look at how strong this is. It finished really strong, too. Here's the short term. So this is what it looks like short term. We consolidated. We broke out. We did our retest, and now we are gonzo. This looks good to continue higher. If the buyers want to push this thing, they can do it here. It finished really strong. We're right at the closing price. We're at the highs, so to speak. The closing price closed at its highs. So the momentum still to the upside. Looks very good. Nat gas, a little bit more selling pressure here. We are in the fall, but again, I think this is going to work its way up when we get cold weather. And that's what we're going to have to look for. How cold is it going to be? All of those things, because natural gas is highly sensitive to that. So that's one thing we'll watch. XOP, I like to see it a little bit stronger with a greater than 2% oil day. So this thing does look a little bit tired. Again, we'll see what happens for XOP, but it is consolidating right above its breakout or neckline. And we do have a monster pattern of an inverted head and shoulders that we're just sitting and waiting for a move. OIH, a little bit more favorable today, 1.45. But again, it's not really a strong momentum candlestick. So again, I'm going to hold my judgment here. Let's watch the next week or two and see where it goes. Sprott Physical Uranium Trust, obviously it is higher today, like we've all noticed looking at our portfolios and clicking the refresh button. But momentum-wise, didn't really go anywhere. It was basically sideways. So what this looks like on the shorter term is we came on up, and then momentum-wise, we kind of petered out a little bit. Now, we can chart this. We can do whatever we want, but this is such a short-term chart that, just be patient with it. That's what I'm going to say. Just be patient with it. Let it go. Could we get a pullback? Yeah, it's possible. But again, I'm not going to do anything with my shares. Just going to let it ride. But we are a little bit overextended. We definitely could see a pullback at some point. URA up, but with a little bit of a wick at the top. The wick at the top means that we came into this coming on up, and we had large selling pressure here. We kind of bounced off that peak. Doesn't mean we can't go higher, but this is a reversal candlestick in the short term, and we could reverse lower is possible. URNM up a bit with that wick at the top. URNJ got the same thing. We got the little plane coming in here as we moving on higher here. So it's looking good across the board. We've had a lot of momentum, a lot of, I mean, this is a big move here, guys. We went from 1650-ish to about 23 bucks. So, you know, a pullback could be likely. I'm not jumping in here. I'm just letting this stuff ride. Looking at TAN up 2.66. It looks like we're going to go higher here. It looks good from that perspective on the short term. So everything looks like it's trying to put in a bottom for TAN, and we are above support. COPX 3.22%. That's a pretty big day. I like it. But we're still within this channel over the longer term. Long term, this is a double bottom, and we're just consolidating on top of it. It's gonna break to the upside, in my opinion. Lithium up a little bit, 1.13. It is trying to put in a bottom here, I think, and we could potentially break out of this bigger pattern if we can get moving. REMX also up today, and we are inside the pattern just like lithium is. And again, I'd like to see this break out. I think this does look pretty good for a long-term pattern here. The S&P 500, you know, we're getting some buying pressure here. It could accelerate if it wants to. We've got all these small little trading days. Like we've got a battle between the buyers and sellers, and it's been pretty quiet. So let's watch this, and it does still look good to potentially move on up. I mean, the ingredients are there. It just needs the buyers to step in here. I know that sounds kind of simple, but sometimes the market doesn't give you clear signals. And sometimes when you get these, you can get a top and then a lower top, and then it craps on itself. With interest rates going up and commodities start to outperform, it could crap at any time. So that's kind of why I'm not in this area with any sort of money at all. Emerging markets heading a little bit higher today, but basically just moving sideways. XHB trying to put in something here, but we do have these standout selling pressure days all over the place. That's generally an indicator that we could turn and start to sell off as someone is dumping shares to create these candlesticks there. Moo heading on up. That looks fantastic. I think we're going to start to move higher here. We have broken this falling wedge. Everything looks good. Copper. Zoom in on copper. We're still inside the pattern. I don't know how we're still in this thing, but this still looks good to go higher. Why? We've got big buying pressure, small selling pressure, and a bullish engulfing today with a little bit of trend hitting or a little bit of resistance at that trend line. Iron ore continuing to move up. I think we are going to move up. You're going to see the shipping companies start to move higher. You're going to see some of these steel companies start to move on up. And we've got a big falling wedge before us. I think we've got a long way to go to the upside. Nickel moving on sideways here today, down a little bit. Again, I think this is going to continue lower, guys. Bearish engulfing. I don't see any green candlesticks. And with the selling pressure today, I think we could head lower in nickel. Aluminum looks like we're squeezing up to some degree. We're on support, and we are still squeezing here right there. So I'll put the trend line here. Let's make it a little bit more noticed here so you guys can see it. And we're squeezing up here, and we'll see where we'll pop out. I think aluminum looks good. I think we're going to move to the upside. Baltic Dry Index, it is starting to move on up just like I thought. I think we are going to rip it at some point here, guys. It's going to go up big. Why do I think that? Because we've got this pattern right before it. It failed on the downside, and that's like grabbing, a slingshot to some degree. And sometimes they still pause here for a little bit. Some of the gold and silver mining companies are doing this. Baltic Dry Index is doing this. And then what's going to happen is Baltic's just going to release. It's going to release from that selling pressure and work its way on up. Newcastle Coal, this isn't updating. I don't know why. Baltic or Bitcoin, we're up today, but again, guys, I'm not convinced where this is going to go. We've got this thing's like going like bipolar. We've got big buying pressure here, big selling pressure, big selling pressure, big buying and selling pressure next to each other. This is one confused cat. And it confuses me with all the buying and selling. And, generally speaking, when you get this type of confusion, I generally avoid it. There's no point of being in something that doesn't, that's all confused about itself. So that's what I've got for today, guys. Energy still looks strong. Gold and silver, the gold and silver miners peaking up a little bit. Some of the individual companies look pretty good. So let's see what happens tomorrow. It's going to be interesting. Let's see if that momentum can continue in uranium. Let's see if the momentum can continue in oil, which I think it will. And that means that maybe yields in the dollar continue higher, which it looks like that is a possibility. So again, I'm not going to be buying, things that are rocketing to the upside. I know people are probably pretty emotional right now. They're seeing their accounts. They're getting excited. I get it. All right. But we don't buy emotions. We buy chart patterns, guys. We buy it when they're down. You should be in these stocks making a bunch of money right now. As they go up, if you are on the website, we purchased these before the move. And if you guys are interested in trying to figure out what stocks to get or need some help with it, finding-value.com. We do still have that 50% discount coupon code, which is going to expire here tomorrow. So you better get on it. It's September is the coupon code. We've got a question and answer session coming up Saturday at 7 a.m. Bring your questions. I'm going to bring a bunch of opportunities. We're going to look at everything, and I'll give you my financial opinions as we go. So again, you can get access to what my opinions are, my individual companies, what I'm buying. I just updated what I bought today. Go check it out, guys. And you can see what I purchased. All right, guys. We'll catch you Saturday and tomorrow when we do this update again. And we'll catch you next time. This is Finding Value.